Fashion icons on TV shows and movies always enter the scene with their designer top, designer pants, designer shoes, and designer handbags. They're always clothed in Chanel, Dior, Hermes, Versace, and of course, Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton, most commonly known as LV, has become a symbol of social status and a must-have among fashionistas all around the world. The rise of Louis Vuitton in the fashion game did not come easy. There were plenty of rumors, controversies, and numerous court visits before attaining fame. Welcome fashionistas! This is Luxury Formula. In this video, we'll thread the lengthy history of the fashion brand Louis Vuitton. Get your handbags ready as we dive in. Son of Xavier and Corinne, Louis Vuitton was born in the secluded village of Ancay in France. As a child, Louis had to work on the farm to help his father operate the miller and to keep the crops fresh. His mother made hats that she would sell on the market oftentimes. From a quick review of the old maps, it turns out that Ancay did not have any learning facilities that kids can go to. The nearest school to Louis' family farm would be 6 miles away. Vuitton may have had to endure his childhood without ever receiving formal education. As dire as it already was, Louis' life story just got a lot more horrific when his mother dies when he was 10. His father quickly moved on, remarried probably the first woman he met right after mourning. Things got a lot harder for the 10-year-old to endure. Constant verbal and physical abuse from his parents did not help him grow at all. With a determined soul, Louis Vuitton ran away from home 3 years after his mother's passing. Louis Vuitton was eager to reach the bustling city of France. France, which was more than 200 miles away from Ancay, would later become his safe haven. Having to run away from home in the dead of the night, Vuitton did not have any money with him, not even a single coin to buy himself some food or a penny to jump on the back of any possible vehicle. Left with no choice, his only option was to walk. Along his journey of reaching the city, Vuitton had to sleep in the dense forests of Europe to take a rest. His only protection from predators would be his dedication and a blazer to keep him warm. To support his journey, he would go into the villages he would see and take numerous jobs to earn some money. He did labor in exchange for money or food and sometimes accommodation. Along his journey, he took jobs that handled woodwork, metals, and fabrics. Thanks to his mother's love for crafts, Louis Vuitton seemed to be gifted in the arts of making various products. With this innate talent in art and work experience, he would later build the fashion house that we know of. After 1,000 days of trailing the forest and jumping from one village to the next, Louis Vuitton finally reached Paris. Upon reaching the city, he immediately landed a job as a part-time worker at a box-making store. With his previous experience dealing with crafts, it did not take him long to be considered as the apprentice of the shop owner. Being an apprentice gave him the opportunity to handle the task of creating boxes, packing the bags, and handing them to the customers. This also opened the doors for him to meet the Empress of France. Vuitton's skills impressed royalty. His custom-made boxes enabled him to work as the personal box maker for the Empress. Vuitton continued with his distinguished work until he married at the age of 33. After getting married, he wanted to broaden the reach of his craftsmanship. He decided to open his own store using his life savings. After years of working as a box maker, he noticed several flaws that the previous design had. The old boxes were rounded in shape. The rounded tops made it difficult to store. What Louis Vuitton did was he made a solution to this problem. With water-resistant fabrics, he made the boxes more compact and lightweight, and more importantly, he fixed the rounded shape. It's only to say that Louis Vuitton made a revolutionary design that is reflected in the modern-day suitcases that we all have. Industrialization helped Vuitton propel his career even more. With the emergence of accessible transportation such as trains and boats, travel became a lot easier, and this rise in tourists also rose the demand for Vuitton's custom-made boxes. The demand for his boxes was so high that there are reports of royalty across the globe requesting for a Louis Vuitton travel box. Beyond his knowledge, this was the start of his global success. His budding success was immediately interfered with by the uprising of war. As numerous wars happened in Europe, Vuitton had no choice but to hide underground together with all the anxious citizens. After a year of staying in the evacuation center, Louis was determined to bring his business back to life. With his savings, he rented a place downtown, between the train station and the Grand Hotel. This made it easy for travelers to come to his shop and purchase a Louis Vuitton travel box. Louis Vuitton worked all his life to make a name for himself, and he was successful with it. At age 70, Louis Vuitton passed away and the ownership of the shop was handed down to his son, George Vuitton. With Louis as George's father, he inherited the intelligence and skills his father had. George expanded the reach of Louis Vuitton as he opened a shop in the middle of London. This only raised the popularity and demand for Louis Vuitton. You can easily tell that they've made a success as there were people trying to imitate the LV boxes. To avoid counterfeits, George bought the famous LV monogram to make it difficult for others to copy their boxes. George also made his decision to keep his father's name, Louis Vuitton, as the company name. Louis Vuitton will see greater success after taking a special request placed by another household fashion name, Coco Chanel. Chanel asked LV to make a rounded handbag for herself. This handbag is what we know as the Alma. The Alma handbag worn by Chanel got immensely popular that women from all around the world were dying to get one. In 1936, the ownership of LV was passed to Gaston Louis. Gaston Louis is infamously known as the LV CEO who collaborated with the Nazis. This information was dug by an author named Stephanie Bonvicini. This information was previously classified as the company feels shame about the fact that one of the CEOs had to work with the Nazis. They did say that they believe that George Louis only did collaborate with the enemy to keep the company alive. There was war, and the fall of the Vuitton empire could have occurred without that collaboration. After the reign of Gaston Louis, the ownership of Louis Vuitton was passed down to his son-in-law, Henry Racamier. Henry Racamier was already a known businessman. Racamier changed LV from a wholesale company to a retail company. The big changes has made for the company increased the company's value. Over the years of Racamier's leadership, LV went from $20 million to a $260 million company. However, his flawless work did not see a good end. Racamier lost ownership of Louis Vuitton to Bernard Arnault after launching the LVMH partnership, or the Louis Vuitton-Moët-Hennessy deal. Against the knowledge of Vuitton, Arnault purchased 43% of the company, making him the major stockholder of the company. The drastic change in ownership did create some issues. People lost interest in LV as it wasn't a family-owned company anymore. It was just as plain as most retail stores. No interesting story. Arnault used every ounce of knowledge he has to keep Louis Vuitton on top. On the 100th anniversary of the company, Arnault invited fashion designers to present their own version of Louis Vuitton. This collaboration with various designers like Vivienne Westwood saved LV from closing its doors. Bernard Arnault has been successful in keeping the prestige of the company. His great business tactics enabled him to expand Louis Vuitton. His great skills landed him the honor of being the richest man in the world back in 2021. Today, Louis Vuitton still stands as one of the household fashion names. From making boxes, they have broadened their reach through the creation of handbags, clothes, shoes, and accessories. Even up to this day, the hype for LV does not water down. From the story of the 13-year-old Louis Vuitton running away from home, Louis Vuitton is now known as the #1 fashion brand in the world. Do you have any Louis Vuitton handbags in your closet? Let's see who's got the largest collection in the comment section below. If you want to watch more videos like this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Stay fashionably elegant, ladies and gentlemen, and watch out for the next video.